Oh, right, there we go. So thanks for that, Eulalie. So Claire,
You're welcome.
whenever you're ready,
Thank you.
Claire. So today we're covering diabetes with Claire from the long-term health condition team here at the BME Forum. So it looks like Claire has been logged off. Claire, are you there?
Yeah, she left. She got kicked out, I think.
It looks like the internet is not. Oh, there she is. Claire, are you there?
Yeah,
No.
technical
Technical glitches.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
There she
she's
is.
okay now. Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
lovely, Claire. So this session is being recorded, everyone. So we're looking at diabetes with Claire today. So go ahead, Claire.
Hi. So that was a fantastic suggestion to have this recorded. So you'll always have this reference. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen with you. I really hope I don't disconnect again. So just bear with me a sec.
Whilst we wait for the well-being session this afternoon, I've just been told that the time will start at 5:15 p.m. So it gives you all a little bit more time to eat your dinners or whatever. So 5:15 this afternoon. So if you log on, you'll hear Marvin Porter from Porter's Promise this afternoon on the well-being session, 5:15 p.m. Thank you. Claire? Oh.
Hello. So diabetes. So anyone is at risk of getting diabetes, but there are certain people who are at a higher risk of getting diabetes. So you normally have to have parents who have diabetes, or your brothers or your sisters. When I ask at health checks sometimes, anyone with diabetes in the family, some people tell me their husband, which is very lovely to hear, their grandparents, which is nice. But I'm looking at those who are within the immediate family. So your actual parents, your mum, your dad, and your brothers and sisters, not step brothers or sisters. Actually, that can kind of help, but no half brothers or sisters, I mean to say. Step brothers or sisters, again, they're not related by blood, so it doesn't really matter if they have diabetes. So yeah, your parents or brothers or sisters by blood. If you are Afro-Caribbean, so some of you may be familiar with this. I know some of you have high blood pressure and diabetes, from what I remember, and you guys will understand that it's quite common in those who are Black, those who are Afro-Caribbean, Black African, and even South Asian. In fact, 68% of people in Croydon have high blood pressure, and the 68% happen to be Black. It's quite a high number for the Southeast. And for diabetes, it's around sort of 58%, I'd say, around that. For those who are South Asian who suffer from diabetes. Black people aren't far off from that percentage, but it just happens to be highest amongst South Asians. So that's something to take into account, how this is becoming not only a big problem in the UK, but in Croydon, of all places. So if you're over the age of 40, you're at a high risk of getting diabetes. Yeah, sure, it comes with age, which is the age-old saying, but sometimes it can come down to lifestyle choices in and around that age. So say if you've been a smoker for 20 or 30 years, it's likely that the effects of that will take its toll after you're 40. And obviously smoking is something that, you know, you shouldn't be doing if you're at a high risk for getting diabetes, or if you're pre-diabetic, or if you have someone in your family with diabetes, make you high risk. best to avoid that. If you've been a drinker for 20, 30 years, it's going to take its toll after you're 40 and so on. So yeah. And also if you're male. So I don't know if there are any males here today. I see all women. Men just happen to be at high risk for diabetes. That can come down to pure scientific research. Don't ask me why. Obviously, men and women have different body types, so it can come down to just how they process things compared to how a woman's body processes things. It's down to a number of things, but science says men are at a higher risk, so you can tell your husbands that. I'm sure they'd love to hear that. But in theory, regarding all of this, anyone can get diabetes because type 2 diabetes, which is what we mainly address. Oh yes, hello, Mercia, got your hand up. Hi. Got a question?
I just really mentioned about the pre-diabetes. So could you explain that to me? Because I went to my GP 2 months ago and he's telling me that I am pre-diabetic, so I must come back to do blood tests. Anyway, I went back and I do the blood test. But when I come, I'm thinking about, you do my blood test. I'm sure you're not sending off that blood same time. So by the time you get those people get that blood to test, whatever show up and don't show up, I can understand that you're going to say, I have pre-diabetes. Eh? And I am sure I am no pre-diabetes because I don't feel any way, even though I eat a lot of sweets. And I do my blending with my green juices. And I eat healthy. And I try to do everything good and healthy. And I do my little exercise, as you know, and my little dancing and my, so, oh, it's going to tell me that I am pre-diabetes. Diabetic. I don't get it.
Okay, how do you
Okay,
know that
so your bloods came back and your blood says you're
And they
pre-diabetic.
call me back again to come and do it over twice. So I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Okay, this isn't unfamiliar to me. It's funny, I actually had someone say the same thing to me a few weeks ago. They couldn't understand why they were pre-diabetic. So one question I'm going to ask, and you know, only if you're comfortable, answer it. Do you have high blood pressure?
No.
Okay. Anyone in your family with diabetes, parents?
None of my
brothers and
family.
sisters? Okay. Can I ask your age, if you
No.
don't mind sharing it?
16.
you wish?
Okay.
Very low.
Or if you don't want to share your age, just so I can try to answer this question for you, are you in your 50s or 60s or 70s? So we can be as vague as we can be. In your 60s?
Yes.
Okay. So sometimes with age, your diabetes risk can increase. And, you know, I'm not going to say anything against your lifestyle choices. If you say you eat healthily, cool. But sometimes when we eat healthily, and this is nothing against you, this is just for everybody actually. I've been told many times by people that I eat healthily, so I don't know why I'm like this or like that. Sometimes it can just be down to certain foods can convert into sugar quickly in your body compared to other foods. So if you're a big eater of rice, but you have that with a lot of veg in your plate.
I cut that out.
Okay, cool. I guess you
And
feel quite strong
potatoes,
about.
the white potatoes, I cut that out as well. I don't like Irish potatoes.
Okay. So, okay, so we take rice out of the picture, we take potatoes out of the picture. There could be other kinds of foods. And actually, I think in your case, it could be, so remember I said that your risk increases if you're Afro-Caribbean.
Yeah.
And it increases with age. So put those two together, you're, I'm guessing, black. And
Brown.
brown. Okay. Or to be
Black.
more PC here, I should say you're Black African or Black Caribbean.
When I said brown, excuse me, don't get me when I said brown, because when you look at the clothes that Shelly had on, that's definitely black. But my maroon people, them from Jamaica, they say that we are not black, we are brown. But we don't mean brown as in maybe we call Shelly brown. You understand me? But because when they look at her clothes and look at me, right? The clothes is black. Shelly have a lighter complexion, but they said we
Okay,
we
so to
black
clear
people that
up-
they call say we are black. We are totally just brown.
So to clear up all matter of confusion,
That's
I'm just
what
going to stick with the
that's what the
terms
maroon government
African and
said.
Caribbean.
It does, yeah.
So,
That's all right.
if
I
you're
don't feel
African
anything
or Caribbean-
when you say black, you know, because that's what we grew up on. Yeah.
Sorry? Sorry, the signal's a
Yeah,
bit
go
funny.
ahead,
You'll have to
Mel.
repeat that, Matthew. Sorry, I didn't catch the last bit of what you said.
Go ahead, Chair.
You can
That's
go
fine.
ahead, you can go ahead.
Okay, moving on. So I'm going to move on to the next slide now. So Mercia, in your case, just to conclude, to answer your question, it may have something to do with the fact that you're in your 60s and you are African or Caribbean. That could, those two factors has just increased your risk for being pre-diabetic. Pre-diabetic, I guess the clue's in the word pre-diabetic, before diabetes, basically. So you're on the cusp of getting diabetes. And with that diagnosis, you're in a favorable position to actually get out of being pre-diabetic by just making some healthy lifestyle choices. I'm not doubting that you live a healthy lifestyle at all, but maybe it's a conversation to have with your GP for them to zone in on exactly what you're doing that could have made you pre-diabetic from your bloods. That's all I say.
Yeah,
I can't argue with your blood test. If your blood test says it, then I can't
The
say anything.
amount of time I do blood tests for this, that. So I just can't understand. This minute they tell me, oh, you're at the risk of having an heart attack. You know, what is wrong with this doctor? He keep telling me all these things. And I have it. Yeah, it's true. And I don't understand. I said, maybe, you know, I'm not going back to the doctor for now. So I have to get somebody else to get some money out. Can't keep going on it.
I'm just going to move on.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I hope that answers your question, Mercia. I'm just going
Okay,
to
that's
move
all
on.
right.
More risk factors for people to look out for when it comes to diabetes. So some of these may look familiar because these are some of the risk factors that come with an increase in high blood pressure, but it applies with diabetes as well. So smoking is at the top of the list. Smoking causes a spike in your blood pressure. Blood pressure goes up. Blood pressure sometimes goes hand in hand with diabetes. So basically, rather than me go on this subject, if you are a smoker, try to cut down and quit altogether. It's just not going to do you any favors. Too much salt goes hand in hand with high blood pressure, but of course, an increase in high blood pressure can increase your risk for getting diabetes. Ooh. Okay. Not getting enough sleep. It's quite common with those who are diagnosed with diabetes that they tend to eat late at night. I don't know if anybody here does that. One thing I suggest is if you're eating about an hour or two before bed, firstly, it's going to disrupt your sleep because your digestive system is still working out. And secondly, when you fall asleep, your body still does a lot of work. So imagine if you're eating quite fatty, sugary foods just before you go to bed, you're going to be putting on weight in your sleep. And some people find this quite hard to believe, but it's true. Your body is quite amazing at doing things without you even knowing. So if you're eating all those terrible foods before bed, you can still have that chocolate biscuit, that bit of cake, just bring it back possibly 3 or 4 hours before bed so that your digestive system is nice and free from any stress, enough for you to fall asleep. And you'll probably find that you'll fall soundly asleep as well. And you'll probably stay asleep for the majority of the night. I know some of you on high blood pressure meds wake up, or even on diabetic medication like metformin, sometimes it can wake you up in the middle of the night because you need to go to the toilets. The only thing I suggest with that is just to try and have it at another time of the day. My mum, for instance, she happens to be on high blood pressure meds. She's experimenting with taking it, interestingly, before bed, which might sound a bit counterintuitive, but when she takes it in the morning, it works for her body throughout the day. And then the minute she goes to bed, she needs to get up and pee. But then if she takes it in the nighttime, it has kind of the reverse effect where sometimes she would wake up in the middle of the night, but most of the time she wouldn't. She would actually stay asleep till the morning, and then in the morning she gets up and she needs to pee. But it might work differently for different people. It's just been a bit successful with my mum in this case, but might be different people. But experiment with that if you are on medication that are known to be diuretics that help you pee, or really help release water from your body that helps decrease your blood pressure. If you find it keeps waking you up at night, do have that conversation with your GP to see if he can give you another kind of medication that works for blood pressure. Diabetes is kind of it's quite limited with diabetes, but you know, if you've got a good doctor, they may look at alternative ways. But with high blood pressure, there's quite a lot of medication, different kinds of medication to take that might stop you from peeing in the night if that's an issue. But yeah, try not to eat too close to bedtime when it comes to diabetes, especially when it comes to fatty and sugary foods. Being overweight, needless to say, that can increase your risk for diabetes. The only suggestion I give here is if you are looking to do some exercise and you're not a fan of the gym, that's perfectly okay, because not everybody likes the gym, and that's all right. I think there's a little bit of pressure in society that if you don't go to the gym, that you're not exercising, which is rubbish. Walking around town is exercise. Gardening is exercise. Walking up and down your stairs for, I don't know, 3-4 times a day is exercise, okay? You don't need to be doing any weights if you don't like weights. You don't need to get up at 4 a.m. and go for that sprint. You don't need to adopt a lifestyle. Yeah, there are people, I just saw Yuli Chambers' expression. Sorry. There are people who do that. They get up at 4 and they go for that sprint. I'm not doing that. I'm going to be in my bed sleeping. But, you know, you don't need to, what I'm saying is you don't need to adapt to a lifestyle that's foreign to you. You can just incorporate exercise around what you're probably already doing, you know, so you're probably walking into town on a day-to-day basis. That's exercise. Maybe switch it up by just, I don't know, picking up the pace a bit, you know, walking a bit faster than you normally would, something like that. But a little goes a long way. And I've seen some fantastic transformations. And some of these transformations come from people who have never stepped in a gym. So it can be done without the gym, guys. Yeah. Stress. Why is stress a symptom? Why is stress a risk factor for diabetes? Well, think about it. If you're stressed, you're going to turn to probably stress eating. You're probably going to turn to things to relieve stress, like, well, possibly smoking, possibly drinking alcohol. Stress can also keep you up at night. It can actually interfere with your sleep. So there's that. And then what happens when your sleep's interfered? You get you get stressed. You get even more stressed. And you will, it's interesting with sleep. Sleep is so underrated, but yet so important for us. Once our sleep is off, we find that other things are off as well. When your sleep is, when you actually make time for sleep, you know, you get cozy in the evenings, you read that book or you watch a movie or whatever it takes for you to fall asleep, and then you get up at the same time every day, there's something that happens where the term is circadian rhythm, but I'm gonna say body clock just to make things a bit clearer. Your body clock starts to shift, and there's a rhythm basically, a neat rhythm in your body. And you would find that you won't crave so many sugary or fatty foods, for instance. So when your sleep is off, and you start the day really groggy and tired, or if you haven't had enough sleep, you would find that you're hungrier than usual, because there's a hormone in our bodies that's increased when we don't get enough sleep. So if you do have sleep problems, and maybe it's down to stress, firstly, look into that. Look into stress, what's stressing you out, and then hopefully look into all the other things that can make your sleep better. I know I'm going a bit off topic here and talking about sleep, but it does come back to stress. Obviously, when you're stressed, you struggle to sleep, right? So try and focus on the stress, what's stressing you out, then your sleep will get better, and then everything else will kind of very slowly fall into place. But when I talk to some people, sometimes they bring sleep up a lot, and it's something that we tend to brush aside because we got to do this and that, and we don't give sleep priority. We should be. It's it's something we do every day, and our bodies won't stop needing it. So it's quite important. So yeah, needless to say, too much alcohol can bring up your blood sugar levels. It can interfere with sleep, and yeah, you can have your wine. They say red wine is really healthy. I don't disagree with that. It's got a very high level of high amount of antioxidants. But obviously, let's just keep it to a minimum. Don't go nuts and drink bottles of it. Yeah, all in moderation, as the saying goes. And lastly, too many caffeinated drinks. This is, even though this can increase your blood pressure, this can interfere with sleep. Anything that interferes with sleep is going to increase your risk for diabetes. And it's a still studied area, but it's true. So I'd say that with your diabetes risk being increased, having too many caffeinated drinks can interfere with sleep, and then that can increase your diabetes risk. So let's get on now to what is diabetes? I'm talking about diabetes, but what is it? And sometimes we assume that people with diabetes know exactly what it is. Of course, I'm not going to get into the science of exactly what happens to your body. I'm just going to cover it on the surface so that it's well understood. So diabetes happens, I'm just going to read this out. Diabetes happens when your body cannot move glucose. Glucose, whenever you hear the word glucose, it literally means blood sugar. And that means literally the sugar in your blood. Glucose is another word also for energy, and we get our energy from glucose. So there'll be, I don't know, a typical example would be, basically if you have something that's a bit sugary, it's going to pick you up. It gives you a bit of energy, a bit of a kick. That's great to a point. When you overdo that, your body struggles to process the overload, let's say, of sugar. And so your veins get into a bit of trouble. And, there's a common thing with those who are diabetic, who've been diabetics for years, where they have problems with their foot because it has limited amount of blood supply. And unfortunately, and this is quite known, they have to get their foot, they get gangrene basically on their foot, and then their foot gets cut off. That's because there's so much, your cells aren't working properly, your body isn't working properly to process the overload of sugar in your body. So it's actually just stopped supplying blood to an important area, your feet, because obviously when you walk around, sometimes the blood shifts and pushes down. So yeah, I don't, it's getting a bit gruesome now. I don't want to go into too much detail. I'm just thinking of a foot gangrene, and some images I've seen of, and actually I've seen someone's foot actually not, they don't have a foot. They've had to have it cut off because their diabetes is so extreme. But you know, let's bring it back to some positivity. Let's make this a bit more positive. So yeah, a build-up of sugar in your blood is what diabetes is. And sometimes you will have symptoms. And these are the most common ones that I've listed. So you would need to use the toilet more often, especially at night. You will feel thirsty often. And some people can overthink this. So some people I've checked and some people I've met over the years get a little bit thirsty and think, oh, maybe I'm diabetic. No. When I'm talking about thirst, I'm talking about day-to-day thirst, where no matter how much water you drink, if you were to drink a full bottle of water and then you remain thirsty, that's probably an indicator that something's wrong. Like you've hydrated yourself and you still feel thirsty. That would suggest that you could have a symptom for diabetes, but I wouldn't focus in on that, right? You have to have that and all these other symptoms, like changes in your eyesight. So if you have blurred vision, sometimes it can come with age, sometimes it can come with having diabetes or possibly being pre-diabetic. That might be one of the first symptoms. You know, your eyes are a bit blurry, can't really see things properly. Having a wound that won't heal is quite common. So if you've cut yourself recently or you've cut yourself within the last 3 weeks and that wound is still there and you're eating all the foods you can, like all the nutrients from your foods should be repairing food, nothing, the wound rather, nothing's happening, then that's something to look into. And unexplained weight loss is another thing as well. To be honest, unexplained weight loss in any case is worrying, especially if you're eating quite healthily, you know, regularly as well, morning, afternoon and evening, but you just keep losing weight. That could be an indicator of diabetes. That could also be an indicator for something else as well. Regardless, you should really go to your GP if you experience unexplained weight loss. So I've been asked countless times, how do I stop myself from getting diabetes, Claire? What do I do? It's quite a broad subject. All I will say is that, yes, it is possible to put diabetes in remission. It is possible to get off medication, absolutely. One, I've put up here plant-based diet because that's often touted as one of the best diets. And I'm talking about plant-based diets that isn't high in fat, plant-based diets that isn't loaded with salt, you know, plant-based diets that is just a healthy plant-based diet, basically, low in sugar and all of those things. There's why, well, think about it, plant-based diet, plants is like the best thing to eat, really. Anything that comes up from the ground, if you're having 80% of foods that come from the ground, you're doing a pretty good job there. That's the best way to put it. Anything that comes up from the ground will be high in nutrients. It will do your body a hell of a lot of good, and it would be naturally low in sugar as well. So your body would be like, oh my God, wow, you know, where's the sugar? Oh, I don't care because I'm having a lot of nutrient-rich foods, which are better than sugar. And after a while, when you eat a lot of nutrient-rich foods, you'll find that you'll just crave for sugar or bad stuff less, because your body is quite magical. Your body yearns to be fed the good stuff. So it's waiting. And then once it gets it, it will just naturally condition you to not want to crave, you know, foods 2 hours before bed, sugary foods 2 hours before bed. You wouldn't even have a craving for it. You wouldn't even think about it, to be honest. So yeah, plant-based diets are the way. Another diet is a high protein diet. So this is I want to say, is it the Paleolithic diet? where rather than have a high amount of veg, you have a high amount of meat. As much as that's a good diet, and obviously, you know, I imagine most people here are open-minded, so you go with what you feel comfortable with. I won't knock it. I just think that it is quite high in fats and it's quite high in oils as well. And the research hasn't really convinced me that it helps with diabetes. I think it helps a small number with diabetes, but that's my conclusion on that. You guys can do your research anyway, because of course I know there are meat lovers out there. So there are diets that are for meat lovers. I'd say if you want to go for this Paleolithic diet, it's quite popular. Is it Paleolithic? I feel like I'm using the wrong term for it. But anyway, maybe stick to lean meats. So a lean cut of beef.
Protein. Mhm.
Yeah. That's healthy. I would have that. I'm not an angel of health, by the way, but if I were to go for the healthiest bit of meat and it's red meat, then I would go for a lean steak. That's perfect. It's low in fat and yeah, it's good. It's good for you. It's very low in fat. So yeah, if you're not eating fatty cuts of meat, then you're doing a good job, I'd say. This is where I this is just reminded, I forget that popped up. So this reminds me to stop. So if there's time, I don't actually know what time it is because the time's hidden. Oh, okay. So we've got 5 minutes. So we haven't got long. So I think that's it. I was gonna ask if anyone had any tips of their own. You know, I'm sharing tips with you guys. How do you guys eat? What sort of things do you drink? And has it helped if you are pre-diabetic or diabetic, or you just don't want to be diabetic at all? But we have 5 minutes for that. So I don't know if we have enough time. Yeah, so I'm gonna hand it over to Shelley unless anyone had any questions.
I can tell you about my diet.
I think Marcia is
Nobody else
willing
wants
to
to talk, but I can talk about my diet
briefly, Marcia.
briefly.
Claire, if you
Yeah, go for it.
sharing and then
Tell me about your diet.
Yeah, what I do, I blend up my green juice, my celery, my cucumber, my spinach, broccoli, all those green stuff. I blend them and drink them. I even blend the green cabbage as well and drink it. I even blend the purple cabbage with beetroot, yeah, and drink it. So I do a lot of those type of blending. When I already have the green juice, when I already have the pineapple with orange, with apple, everything green I do on one side, and then the others I do on the other side, yeah. And when I eat well, I don't eat the rice and the potato and the green plantain. I would cook it, and eat the green plantain. I eat all sardine, I eat mackerel, I eat them salt a little stuff, you know, them kind of way, because I don't want to get too much in the meat thing. And the reason why I get out of most of the meat thing, because when I look, honestly, they put in this injection, all in the chicken, them injecting the chicken and squeezing what, yeah, it's true. When I see those things,
That's true.
the other day I was looking at a picture. I love the codfish, but the other day I was by a friend and I said to her, I heard that they said the codfish, you know, saltfish is not so good. So I take my bright self and go on my phone to bring up the fish. When I see it, I was so frightened, I fling away the phone. I think the phone mash up. I said, I don't want to eat saltfish again.
Why is that? What's wrong with saltfish?
Yeah, I said, I fling out when I go like that, I fling away. I was so frightened. I fling away my phone. I said I would never eat it again. So, you know, I try my best. Because even the doctor go tell me about pre-diabetes, so when I get home at that time, I start blend more.
What would you have for breakfast?
Let me tell you what, in the morning when I get up for my breakfast, the first thing I drink is a bottle of clear water. That is the first thing. Then I go and put on my kettle and my little thing and make some hot lemon juice water. Hot lemon, slice up the lemon and pour the water on it. And then I drink that. I have to detox and clean up them. You understand me? And after that, no, I go for my blending and I put peanut butter into the blend, whatever I'm blending, like the green juice.
You mean juice or smoothies?
The green juice, green smoothie first. I put the peanut butter in it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have that. You understand me? Well, you know, sometimes I'm coming out, so I don't have no time to eat till when I get back home. You understand me? And if I'm out, maybe I'll try to eat. If I'm eating a sandwich, maybe I eat, because I don't like bread either, but I look like I would eat the tuna sandwich. That's the one I like. You understand me? Because I don't like when you go to eat this, because this shrimp thing and all kind of thing, and some of the sandwich them, I don't know what it is. If I make my myself, I'm more going to go in the shop. You understand me? So that is how I do my thing. You understand?